we don't have anything listed on the workshop discussion unless the council has something specific you want to go over. We'll talk about. Okay, moving right along. Reports of council.
Petitions?
Oh, I'm sorry, just petitions. Anybody out there with a petition? Please come forward. Now, approval of minutes.
I move that the minutes of the meetings held on August the 16th and August the 25th, 2016 be approved as recorded and that a copy thereof be posted on the borough's website.
I'll second.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Councilman McGovern?
Yes.
Councilman Kim Blackburn?
Yes.
Okay, now we'll move on to the reports of council. Councilwoman Blackburn?
The storm prep conference calls started coming in from the county, and I was able to sit in on at least 2 of them. Belmar did a great job preparing for the storm. It didn't come, fortunately it didn't come, but we were ready for it. And until it turned unexpectedly, our DPW and our police were extremely busy, and they were ready for the flooding on Route 35. They were ready for the high tides, both in the marina area and down on the beach area. If you've been down by the beach, you know that they built some dunes. If you were down near Lake Como, you knew that they were up near Silver Lake. They drained the lakes as much as they could. They brought in pipes for Lake Como and started draining Lake Como even more. Fortunately, neither of those even needed that done. We know that all of this inconvenienced everybody quite a bit, but on the other hand, if the storm had been as bad as it could have been, we would have been inconvenienced even more. So I'd like to compliment everyone that worked so hard getting us ready for the storm. The dunes are going to remain. You know that they always put them up in the wintertime anyway, so we are going to be cutting diagonal walkthroughs through there, but the dunes will be remaining through the fall, winter, and spring season until we normally take them down next year. There are still 2 bathrooms up on the boardwalk. One is at 8th Avenue and one is at 11th Avenue. Those were the 2 larger of the bathrooms. All of the smaller ones were removed and put up at Dempsey Park. I got to pass one as I was driving one direction on 16th and past the bathroom going the other way. The bathrooms will probably remain there through October, and of course that's weather dependent. Talking about McCleary Park, you know that the bathroom is there now, and there are some nice railings. I stopped the other day. There's nice railings around it. Well, railings like that cost about $2,000. But because of one of our DPW guys, Richie, factoring Sandy, he was able to save some of the railings that came off the boardwalk. He saved them all these years, and the railings that are over at McCleary Park right now are the ones from the boardwalk, and those railings didn't cost us anything. We did have to put up brand new posts, but we did save about $2,000 because our DPW gentlemen are very, very creative. The senior walking group for the summer has ended. We did just under 4 million steps. That might not be quite accurate because some of those pedometers that we got for free worked very well and some of them didn't work quite as well. But everybody that walked during the summer is looking forward to the gym opening for senior walking this winter. And we really have to thank Sweet Teas. They provided iced tea every Thursday morning when we were there checking the numbers. And of course, you know how hot it was this summer, so we appreciate that. And at the end of the season, they provided a nice breakfast for all of the walkers. So thank you to Sweet Teas. Events coming up, the library has all of the events that they normally have. We're starting a new season again. Lots and lots of activities, everything from mahjong to lots of fitness classes to, for the little ones, story time on Wednesday mornings at 9:30. They get to listen to stories being read to them, and they get to play with the toys over there and color some pictures. And the senior luncheon is next Wednesday in the gym. And that's everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom?
Thank you, Mr. Borough Council President. I want to echo Councilwoman Blackburn's comments. I have these friends, their names are Monday Morning and Quarterback. Oh, you guys, you jumped the gun, you ruined our weekend, you're so nervous. You know what? I would much rather hear those complaints than the complaints we would have heard if we hadn't been as well prepared, and what the forecasters said was going to happen did happen, even a part of it. I mean, after what we went through with Sandy, there is no being too prepared. I really want to compliment our DPW, our police department. I want to compliment our borough administrator. We were very, very well prepared, and if the worst had happened, we would have been in great shape. It's not the first time it's happened since Sandy, when the weather forecast for Labor Day was bad. We got prepared, and then it wasn't as bad as they said it was going to be. We all know that the weather day can be wrong, but I, for one, am not willing to take the chance. I would much rather be, prepared than not. And that is my report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry. Today was the first day of school at Belmar Elementary School. It was lovely. The kids are great. It's really nice to see them. I'll let you know when we have how many kids sign up for band. There you go.
And that music director. I just have a few things I was touching on, saying, schools, etc. Back to school, today was for Belmar Elementary, tomorrow is St. Rose, so hopefully there'll be a safe and happy school year. Belmar Arts Center, now Center, not Council, please take a moment to check out their website. They have so many incredible events happening in the next few months. Workshops, anything you'd like to do for children and adults, but the events that you can just walk through are lovely. Soccer rec program is underway, and there are many different leagues, all different ages. I am coaching my sons, sorry. Kite Festival. The BBP will have their Kite Festival on Sunday, September 11th, and it is the same day as the Finns, is the new sponsor, Finns surfing event. So it'll be at the southern end of town. Kite Festival is tremendous. If you haven't been, it's 50 plus kites, massive, that come set up. Want to congratulate everybody that worked on the Friday and Saturday night concerts for the summer. I thought they were absolutely excellent and well attended, and they'll continue those each year. And cruise night. I don't know if anybody's been to the BBP cruise nights, which have been very successful. The last one is Thursday, September the 21st. So I hope you all come out for that. That's it.
Thank you, Councilwoman Black.
Mr. Council President, if I could just jump in, and before we go into the resolutions, I just want to discuss one point.
Sure.
Did I cut you off? I did. I did.
Don't worry.
You didn't have anything to say.
Sorry about that. I can wait.
You can wait.
I can wait.
No problem. Talk to you later, Council. My report, I just want to big shout out to Neil Sterling. He made the Jacksonville Jaguars for the second year in a row. I did see him in the preseason game against the Jets, and he caught a touchdown pass. He looked for, when the Jaguars are on, look for number 87. Again, I'd like to thank the DPW and the police. Did a great job preparing for the non-storm. Not their fault, it was a forecast, but we did everything that we needed to do in case the storm was coming. The only complaints I heard was possibly the people at Schroeder Park complaining that the Poking Man Go gym was being interfered with, where we were placing our beach lockers, but that's a complaint I guess we can live with. I see Mike and Melody Long down there. You got a lot of Poking Man Go people, so we won't tell them to go to your house to register any complaints, okay? That they can just come to us. The beach lockers and the bathrooms, no, they're not going to be returning in September. Once we take them off the beach, you got to stay off the beach. But what's also more important than off the beach is college has started, and so main group of our lifeguards have gone back to college. And some of our better lifeguards are teachers and coaches, so they're back at school. So even though the weather gets nice, and especially when it's rough like this, if you're not a strong swimmer, stay out of the water. What is deceiving sometimes, people go down to the rough water and they see the surfers in the water. And they think, oh, if it's safe for them, it's safe for me. But surfers are basically pretty good swimmers, plus they're attached to a floating device. So if you see people going in the water and you're not a strong swimmer, don't try and make the rescue, okay? But when the surfers or somebody else on the beach, we keep a skeleton crew of lifeguards on while the weather is nice. The tourism, we had a tourism meeting this past week, and they had a very successful year, starting with the Seafood Festival. Great Friday night concerts at Piano Plaza. I attended several of them. I see people out in the audience here were there. They enjoyed them very much. Very well attended. And we have some ideas possibly for next year, making those concerts at Piano Plaza sound a little bit better by having a sound person come and adjusting the sound for all the performances. They are now leading into the fall festival, the fall season, and our first tourism event will be the San Gennaro Festival, which is September 17th and 18th, that's Saturday and Sunday. I understand that I am expected to defend my title with the pasta eating contest, so I will be there. You will? I promise to lose, okay? So you can have that trophy. It was mentioned that school is open, so you want to drive carefully, especially in the morning when they're dropping the students off for school, in the afternoon when they're picking them up. And please remember that a lot of the high school juniors and seniors have just got their licenses and they're driving to school for the first time. They are teenagers. So you got to be careful of also the teenage high school drivers, got to be careful. Before I finish my report, I think you probably read in the paper that Belmar is receiving another $800,000 from FEMA to pay for the 10% of our costs after FEMA paid for 90% of it. So, Colleen, could you just kind of explain to the audience exactly what's happening with that $800,000?
Sure, it's a nice surprise for communities like ours that had very large disaster bills. This applies to our debris and our emergency preparedness, what we lovingly refer to as Cat A and Cat B. So typically, we left with 10% of those project worksheets that would be left on the taxpayers or the fund or the utility fund. This grant allows us to alleviate the taxpayers and those funds of approximately $800,000, which will allow us to pay down our debt even faster. So it's a nice surprise, and it came from HUD money that came through the state of New Jersey, and the governor's made available to communities like ours.
So in other words, that $800,000 is going to be used strictly to pay down the debt.
Yes.
We're not using that $800,000 to do something new.
Correct, it's to pay down Sandy debt.
It's just paying down the debt.
Yes.
Okay. George, now it's time to interrupt me. Okay.
Thank you very much. Mr. Council President, we did receive a letter dated August 25th alleging that Councilwoman Nicolay was in violation of Chapter 9, conflict of interest. And that letter attached certain information, which was in the form of New Jersey complaint. I did look at the complaint, and I looked at the allegations therein, and none of the allegations in the complaint would actually form the basis for any disqualification. Under our ordinance, Chapter 9, conflict of interest. So after looking at the complaint and the allegations in the ordinance, I don't find any disqualification for Councilwoman Nicolay, and it's my recommendation that she continue to serve the borough and vote in full capacity under no condition of ineligibility. So I wanted to bring that up at this point. It was made at the last meeting, and before we got into resolutions, paying the bills and things of that nature, I wanted my opinion on the record.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Worth interrupting. Before we continue, I just want to mention that tonight, we are not going to take any action on ordinance 2016-10, which is the ordinance amending this seaport. Apparently, there was a mistake of dates, meeting dates, in the newspaper, and in abundance of caution, we are going to taking action on that ordinance will be at the next meeting?
We are re-noticing it, I don't know if we yet know when it's coming.
Okay, but
It's coming back soon.
okay, so there is no action on the second ordinance tonight, which is 2016-10, which would have been the second reading, so we're not going to do that.
Do we have a motion to table, please?
All right, can I have a motion to table that ordinance?
I'll make that.
Is there a second?
All in favor?
Aye. Okay. Resolutions. Authorizing the payment of bills first?
Public session on any resolution
Okay.
on tonight's agenda.
All right, let's get that, you're right. Tonight, public session on the resolutions, only on the agenda. We will continue to have the public session at the end of this meeting. So is there anybody in the room that wants to speak on any of the resolutions? Dave? And you know the routine, name and address.
David Schneck, 302 C Street, Belmar. Thank you. Just two things here. First of all, speaking of typos, this resolution authorizing the slip rental fees for the marina, shouldn't that be 2017? No?
It's for this year.
It's for this year, or for the fall season or something?
Yes, could you,
It's to establish a prorated amount for people who would like to rent a slip for the balance of the 2016 season.
right.
Save a little money.
Okay. I'm going to have to look into this further, but I think the problem with the conflict of interest regarding Ms. Nicolay is that, according to the complaint, there's unreported deposits in the campaign account, and since the purpose of Belmar's campaign was to make sure every single donation that the donor is identified, I think that's where the conflict was.
Failure to identify under the ordinance does not give rise to conflict of interest.
Failure to identify a donor.
Right, you have to certify, provide certification that you looked at the submissions and provide a certification that it's accurate. That's not alleged in the left complaints. So, you know, the fact that there may be an unreported donation doesn't give rise to disqualification. There are only certain categories that do give rise to disqualification. The main one is the pass-through type. That's not alleged in the complaint. There's no suggestion that it was a pass-through. There's
No, the only problem is that the identity of whoever that came from is unknown, right?
I don't think the pass-throughs come in like small amounts, so I mean.
But it's not just pass-throughs.
But the thing is, you know, if you knew that it was a pass-through, then that would be a different circumstance. But there's no suggestion that it was.
Well,
So-
it's unknown what it was, right?
Right, well, I'm not going to disqualify a council person from doing their duties because we don't know. I mean, I have to follow the ordinance.
Okay, well, I didn't make a complaint, but it just seems, I think I understand what it was about.
Yeah, you
The person-
might, but, you know, the ordinance itself is a tricky ordinance because it's one of a kind, and it comes up with all kinds of, unforeseen consequences here. So, you know, when I see that, and there's not a strict requirement to find a disqualification of a council person, you know, that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to read things into an ordinance that's onerous already to make it more onerous. So there's no allegation that there was a pass-through. So I can't sit here and say, well, you know, don't do your duty.
Okay, well, that's your call, so.
It is,
So,
and I have to make it, so I made it.
okay, thank you.
Thank you, George. And if I do say so myself, Councilwoman Nicolay has done a fantastic job as councilwoman. These technicalities that anyone's ever dealt with, ELEC, is so difficult for the average person who wants to give community service, become a council person in town, and then to try and keep the times, the schedules, the amounts, and everything. It's just so hard to do that I can promise you, if there was a mistake made, it wasn't deliberate. It was not deliberate at all. Anybody else in the public? Yes, just come on up and give your name, address. Hey.
Hi, I'm Jacqueline Miller. I live at 303 River Avenue.
You want to, Jackie, you want to talk to the microphone?
Hello?
Sound good.
Okay. I'm here about finding information about the sidewalk ordinance. So I live at 303 River Avenue, which is that group of
Yes.
old homes. And my house is built in the late 1800s, and it's the original sidewalk, the bricks in the front. And I have a large tree between the sidewalk and the street, and it's pushing the bricks up. So I got this, it's gonna be, you know, redone, and I sold this in concrete. And I wanted to know if there's any way I could keep the old bricks, because I think it, you know, it would be more in the character of my house to keep, because I have like going up to the walk and all around the side of my house.
Jackie, I have the exact same situation. I have the historic brick in my front walk and my back walk. The walkway is over 100 years old. I don't have any trees that's affecting, but I certainly believe a historic brick walk is more important than having a smooth ride pushing a baby stroller, or someone walking to the beach having to, you know, adjust. So I think it's possible to maybe pick up some of the bricks and then level it the best you can.
Yeah, I just didn't want to, like, the tree to, like, fall on my house if I...
Yeah, I know what some people do with the roots. I'm not going to tell you because I don't want to take the responsibility of you affecting the strength of the tree. But the tree takes precedence over the sidewalk. Is it a live tree?
Mm-hmm.
Then you got to build around the tree the best you can. Because if you shave the roots, it's possible that you could affect the strength of the tree. But tree comes first, sidewalk, person with a baby stroller or walk to the beach comes third.
So would someone come and look at it and give me a suggestion?
Well, it's a historic brick sidewalk that's over 100 years old cannot be as level as a cement sidewalk.
Right.
Just can't be, just can't be. For me, personal opinion, what's more important?
So then why did I get this then?
I don't know. Colleen, you want to take this now?
You got the notice because there is something that's identified as a potential trip hazard, and so that part of the ordinance is in effect. For folks like you, we're going to be dealing with one-on-one and find that have unique situations that involve trees or more historic materials. I believe, I don't know if you called Borough Hall earlier, you may have been told that concrete was the only option.
Right, I got it.
Right. So, yeah, under the assessment, what's accessible on your taxes is the concrete option. If you choose to work with the awarded contractor or your own contractor to do brick, you will be permitted to do that. There is an old ordinance on the books, so an older ordinance that specifies concrete that was intended for new construction.
Right.
We're gonna bring a tweak to you guys that will allow you to have people replacing kind of historic materials. So some people have slates, some people have brick, and it is nice, it adds a bit of character, it can be safe. So we will be working with you, trust, you can have brick if you want brick, you don't have to use our contractor, you could use your own. My advice to you is get some prices and see what's best.
Jackie, when you cut your lawn, does anyone use a leaf blower to blow the grass? That's where you might be running into a problem. Because when you use a leaf blower, it blows out the dirt that's in between the bricks. And then they can begin to shift and everything like that. A little bit more work. What I do is I sweep my, the dirt around my bricks so they fill back in. So you may want to think about not using a leaf blower to get the grass clippings off your sidewalk.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you very
We'll
much.
be in touch, we'll talk to her.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Anyone else? Seeing no one else, I move to close the public portion on the consent agenda.
All in favor?
Aye. Okay, now we'll go to ordinances here. Kyle?
Resolution authorizing payment of bills.
Oh, okay. Okay, I make a motion that we pass a resolution authorizing payment of bills. Do I have a second?
Second.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Nicolay?
Yes.
Councilman McGovern?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kell Blackburn?
Yes.
Resolution by consent.
Okay, I make a motion that we pass the resolutions on the consent order. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Nicolay?
Yes.
Councilman McGovern?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kell Blackburn?
Yes.
Okay, now down to ordinances, the second reading and public hearing. Do I have anyone at the audience interested in talking on ordinance number 2016-9, which is the bond ordinance providing for sidewalk improvements in and by the Borough of Belmar in the County of Monmouth, New Jersey. The Borough of Monmouth, oh, I already read that, appropriating $500,000, therefore authorizing the issuance of $475,000 in bonds or notes of the borough for financing the cost thereof, and directing the special assessment of the cost. There. Okay, anybody in the public wishing to come up to the microphone? Seeing no one, I move to close the public portion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I now make a motion to pass the ordinance 2016-9.
Second.
Jim's right.
Councilman Brennan? Councilwoman Nicolay?
Yes.
Councilman McGovern?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kell Blackburn?
Yes.
And as I mentioned earlier, we're not going to act on the second reading of the public hearing for ordinance 2016-10.
Sorry, we have one more resolution.
One more resolution. The resolution awarding the contract for curbs, sidewalks, and driveway apron replacements. Do I have a second?
Second.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Nicolay?
Yes.
Councilman McGovern?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kell Blackburn?
Yes.
Okay. Now we move to the public session. You may come up and you may talk on anything you wish to talk to us about. And when you come to the microphone, please state your name, your address, and you have 5 minutes. We will not get into a debate, but we will try and answer you the best we can. If we don't have an answer for you, we'll try and get you the answer. Tom, you have your hand up first.
Starting out the tall one.
Tom Volker, 527 8th Avenue. You probably know that there was a serious accident at 8th and Main the other day. I understand it was caused by a medical emergency as opposed to carelessness or something like that. That's what I heard. At any rate, it got me thinking about those intersections, 10th and Main and 8th and Main. And I'm wondering if, well, for example, on 10th and Main, if you're coming from Route 35 going east, and you want to make the right on red, you can't always see the people that are crossing. Maybe we're waiting on that island, and they're coming. And you can't always see that they're, of course, the lane that's going through has stopped. So they're blocking your view, and you want to make that turn. I'm asking if you would consider some no right on red situations at where the danger exists.
This is Highway 35 you're talking about?
No, this would be Main Street,
So,
8th and Main and 10th and Main. The situation at 8th and Main is in the morning, the sun can be in your eyes. The other way around. The sun can be in your eyes if you're coming from the west. And in the evening, the sun can be in your eyes if you're going west. So just ask you to consider maybe right on red would be a safety thing that might save some lives in the future.
That wouldn't be our decision. We'd have to defer to the expertise of our police department.
I'm sure.
Tom, do we still have someone in the police department that's specially trained in traffic?
We do,
We do.
yes.
So could you have them just kind of look at what Mr. Walter is
Yeah,
speaking about?
yeah, we'll speak to the chief and we'll
Thank you.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay.
And again, I'd like to add my voice to yours, thanking DPW for all the hard work, getting ready for a storm that could have been a bad one. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Claire?
Thank you very much.
Oh, you got to drop that down.
Gotta drop down. First of all, I want to echo the praise for all of our staff during the possible storm. I also want to comment on the excellent communication, the messages that came out, code red through the mayor, and also we live by L Street and 35. We actually had notes in our door jams about the possibility of flooding, so I appreciate that. Councilwoman Nicolay, I'm very sorry that you had to endure that. The opposition is determined to constantly, repetitively make our council people and our mayor in a bad light. And it's very, very obvious that their purpose is to discredit and demean. So I feel badly about that because you did I sat with you, I know the kind of work you do, I know where your heart is. And I just can't believe, and that won't be the end of it, because there'll be that or on and on and on and on with other things. And I really don't know the purpose of their lives, because that's all they do. Thank you.
Thank you. Naomi?
I thought you were all going to get my order. We talked about it before. Sorry.
Naomi Rise, 202 7th Avenue. I'm here with my husband and some of my Silver Lake neighbors to bring up the condition of Silver Lake. I don't know if you're aware of how bad it looks. I've never seen it look as bad as it does these days. The overgrowth of vegetation around the perimeter of the lake is dense. The island looks terrible. You put up these bat houses. When you first put the bat houses up on the island, there's a big tall pole with a black box up the top. Well, now the weeds and overgrowth on the island almost reach the top of the box. In particular, there's a phragmite, this wetland grass. It's very aggressive. It outcompetes native plants and displaces native animals. And it's really a joy to walk around the lake and see all the wildlife around there. And if that were to go away, that would be a shame. Phragmites is an indicator of a wetland ecosystem that is out of balance. And also, I took this from a government website, which is very informative. The phragmites create a dense jungle of vegetation that native salt marsh birds cannot penetrate. So they might not be able to nest in the future if this continues. We also get these bugs in June. Some people call them mayflies, some people call them midges. In early June we get them, and they come from the lake. People who live around the lake get them. Even if your house is, the windows are shut and airtight, you get them in the house. They usually go away after a couple of weeks. They're not going away this year. I suspect it's the vegetation that they're breeding in, which this spring I had a discussion up of maybe mosquitoes breeding there. It's not a good thing. Anywhere you stand around the lake, you can see these phragmites growing right into the water. So I'm here to ask you if you're aware of the condition of it and if it's on the agenda to address it.
It's not on the current agenda. I think everyone here knows that I also live on the lake, and I have to agree with you, the Phragmites are taking over. It's a real problem. When you look across the lake, it is not a pleasant, it's ugly, it's just plain ugly. And I'm sure when the people on the other side of the lake look over towards South Lake Drive, they see it just as ugly. Yeah, it is beyond our DPW ability to clean up that. It's probably about 0.8 of a mile around the perimeter of the water. So we would really have to, Kyle, we'd have to really take a sit down and do something. We've done a lot of work on the beachfront. We've done a lot of work down, we got a lot of grants for Theory Park. And Silver Lake is 21 acres. 21 acres of prime parkland in the center of Belmar, where more people come, you know, for the seafood festival, for the runs, the triathlons, the 5-mile run. It's really a highlight of Belmar, Silver Lake. And you know, we don't even have a sign that says Silver Lake. If you walk around, you don't know what the name of that lake is. I think we're going to, you know, for 2017, really probably put more emphasis on the improvement of the looks of Silver Lake, if we can. It's a tough call. There's no water where we can, if we plant something, you can't water it.
All you need is grass and trees. And this seemed to happen after Sandy, after the lake was dredged. We never had this before Sandy. We had some tall grass.
Sure.
You know, a few things I do want to address. One is that with FEMA, there does not come funds for grass and trees and shrubs and things of that sort. This council did take the time and concern to award a contract to try to revitalize Silver Lake. That work did not go as hoped for.
Right.
We were very disappointed with that contract. It is an issue that we could put some renewed focus on in 2017. There was grant money that we looked into. I actually think Silver Lake is a beautiful place. I enjoy taking my child there. It's a place that, you know, is used a great deal, but certainly can be made better. The issue with the midges, I do want to address, because every time somebody brings up mosquitoes, I want to try to set the record straight. We are constantly in contact with the County Mosquito Control Commission on standing water, on bodies of water. Repeatedly, we have been assured that after inspection that it is safe. This is not a mosquito breeding ground. The midges that come are hatched out of the mud on the banks. They happen annually. Certainly, we get complaints every year from the residents who have to endure it. It is a nuisance. Absolutely. We are working with the county, and we've said if there's anything we can do to make it better, please let us know. The recommendations and advice that we got was to install bat boxes, actually, which you referenced, in hopes that there's a natural answer to that problem. So it is something that we're working on, and it could be something in 2017 that we hunt for some grant money for.
I know Naomi very well. She's my neighbor. She's not here coming as a complainer. She's coming as let us know that it's probably a problem bigger than, certainly is a problem bigger than our DPW can handle.
And it may be, yeah, which
And
might
we would
be
need
where
a
it's
grant,
or contract.
professional people coming in, and then once they get it right, we can perhaps maintain it.
Sure.
I know years ago, the DPW built us a bridge across the island, so but there's no water out there for, once you plant the plants, for them to survive, so.
Well, and I have to say, like, this moment in time also is an unfortunate time to talk about Silver Lake. To go by there, it's very low. We drained it for the storm. So you're going to see more mud, you're going to see more algae, you're going to see more brush and muck and things of that sort. So, but I absolutely something that we can look into for next year.
Put more of a focus in 2017.
Well, that sounds promising. I hope that you do. Thank you.
Yeah.
I hope you can get some grant money for it too. Thank you.
Yes, Joe?
Joe Mangione, 203 South Lake. I was going to come up on the same topic as Naomi. Clearly, she was much more prepared. I was just going to say, look like hell. Which actually it does. one thing though about the bug, there's another bug there now, it's a white one, so it's not just the midges, there's now something else, which is literally, I walked out of my house today, the windows are totally covered. And they don't go away. I drove the other day from here to Connecticut, and still covering my car, so it's part of the problem. I would just say that I would be happy to volunteer if one of the folks around the lake to work with you and anybody to see if we can do something. And since Tom Paragano's back there, I just volunteered him too, he didn't know that. But we'd be happy to help.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Don? Volunteer, you're the first volunteer for the Silver Lake Youth Focus.
This is what happened to you on the service. Don Paragano, 207. When I say Naomi did a great job in explaining to you the problem, one other thing kind of hit me when I was looking around the lake to try to figure out what's going on. I truly believe, and I know they said that there's control about the bugs and all, and that they're not breeding over there, but we put these aerators into the water, and it sets the water and it makes it move, and supposedly keeps bugs down. But as you get closer to the shoreline of it, you'll see that the water sits stagnant where all those brush is growing because the water can't get past it. It's so thick over there. And I wonder if that's what's causing the breeding. Well, the middle of the lake is wonderful. The edges are not getting hit by the aerator. So maybe they're adding more aerators or doing something like that. Could be an issue. And as far as the landscaping is concerned, I know that if you ran a drive here to buy a tree or something for that lake, I would buy one certainly. Like we did this with buying a board for the boardwalk. Maybe run some sort of a campaign to buy a tree, buy a bush, or buy something. And maybe we can do this ourselves. And I would love to do it. I don't need my name on it. I just would like to see some more foliage around there. So maybe you want to consider that.
Yeah, great idea. I know it's been tried after the storm. There was a landscaper that did it, and they planted trees, they planted shrubs, they planted flowers, but it all comes down to the watering it. Everyone takes their hose out in their backyard and they water their chrysanthemums or tulips or whatever flowers you've got. That doesn't happen over there. The only thing that seems to grow without water is Phragmites. And you say maybe we can spray the Phragmites, but that will just, that'll kill the green part of the Phragmites, but the Phragmites grow from the tubers, which are underground. So the green can die, but also the tubers got to send up new greenery. And they're very invasive, so.
I'm not a landscape guy, and I don't know the right planting, but I have to believe there has to be a certain type of tree or type of bush that can feed off of the dampness of the ground near the air.
Maybe Rutgers could help us or something like that. You know, we could contact the university, give one of their graduate students a challenge.
And they could put their name on it too. That would be great. But if you just look at it from that perspective, and one other thing, I know that we've been in town for almost 10 years, and the bugs have only increased since Sandy. And I don't necessarily think it was the dredging that did it. I truly believe it's that stagnant water that sits around the edges. And it's only been the last couple of years, not even the first year, which is kind of leading me to the belief that it is the growth, because it's been getting thicker and thicker, and it's getting thicker and thicker, it's getting worse and worse. And I would concentrate some time on that and, see what you can do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sure.
Yeah, I just want to say that it is kind of the center part of the town, as are some other places. But the butterfly garden, that everybody's worked so hard on, is beautiful. The playgrounds, the area is wonderful. We do have the help of Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts that help, but again, it's a bigger area, bigger problem. You had mentioned kind of buy a tree. Also, I don't know, but just thinking about how people do adopt a highway. It would be a lot of people, maybe not a family or a business, but maybe do like adopt a park or adopt a lake.
Well, that's a good idea.
So it could just be a lot of group of people that are just committed to working on it, maintaining it.
You know, you mentioned the butterfly garden, and that's doing well because of volunteer work. But thanks to the Conleys who live across the street, they allow me to bring my hose and stretch it across the street so I can water the butterfly garden and the plants in there. And they're private. Maybe we could do, as Dominic mentioned, or Joe mentioned, have some type of rate, has something to do where people adopt a garden, and they can work in, bringing a hose across, from a neighbor that lives there, and keep the garden going.
It's a lot of really good suggestions.
I think it's adopt a
That-
spot, right?
Adopt a
Yeah,
garden.
yeah,
This is 21
We can make
acres
a-
that
adopt
we
a
just
garden.
subdivided.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good suggestions.
Maybe we could, run a little competition to see whose garden is,
So
Something else for you to do.
adopt a spot, yeah, so, I'm glad you people came forward, it leads to good ideas, refocus for 2017. Jen, that's a good idea, having to adopt a spot, adopt a garden, adopt a tree, and having people along the lake allow you to use their water.
Instead of using people's water, maybe we could also get a couple of rain barrels, put up in several spots around the lake, and all you have to bring is a watering can and use it out of the rain barrels. Those are very successful, and
But don't use the water from the lake. The plant will not survive, the water's too acidic. Yeah. Anybody else? Katrina?
Evening, Katrina Klapsis, 1304 B Street. I really just want to read a statement. I would like to remind everyone about a very important date. September 27th is a special election to be held at Borough Hall in regard to the mayor and council's trying to change an existing law that has been in place for over 12 years. Mayor Doherty may think this is an amusing matter, since he's quoted in Thursday's September 1st Co-Star saying, "The election is like a Seinfeld episode. It's an election about nothing." I'd like to point out that we, the residents and taxpayers, and voters of Belmar are in no way amused and in no way think this matter is about nothing. What I find personally offensive is trying to make the 9 lawsuits brought against this governing body since Mayor Doherty has been in office, trying to make these 9 lawsuits out as frivolous, which is Mayor Doherty's favorite word, also quoted in the same Co-Star article. It is not frivolous when you lose 9 out of 9 lawsuits, as our mayor and council have done. When presented with a legally binding petition, you had the choice to rescind 2016-01, or you could have just booked an election like we're going to have. And it's commonly called Matt's Law because it directly benefits Matt Doherty, who's running for freeholder. You all voted yes, even after many of us complained that you were voting on something you could not even explain to us. Some of your public statements prove that you did not even understand what you voted into law. What is really tragedy, there is that after being ordered by a Superior Court judge that there is no legal standing to reject our petition, which you did, you and Mayor Doherty have spent over $43,000 in attorney fees for which we, the taxpayers, are going to have to pay the bill. And that is only the bill through June. Just wait till the taxpayers see the bill for July and August, and the cost of the special election, which you could have prevented by simply rescinding 2016-01 or timely setting up a vote. Frivolous? I think not. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Ann?
I didn't know.
Name and address, please.
Linda Chelson, 1602L. I didn't know Katrina was going to speak on that. However, that was, the pay-to-play referendum is also on my mind. And something caught my attention last week in the Co-Star that is often referenced here, and that's the number of events that everyone's very proud of the large number of weekly and monthly events that are sponsored and very successful, don't always look that. And in last Thursday's postcard under Belmar, there's this. It says pay-to-play referendum, date Tuesday, September 27th. It doesn't say it's a vote. It doesn't say where it's going to be. It doesn't say the time that the poll's going to be open. Referendum. I think that the council has the obligation to let the public, our residents, know what's going on. If there is a limited number of voters, it's not because people don't care, it's because there's opposition to following through, as you should. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask you a question? Colleen?
Yes.
I would assume with a special election, people will be getting a sample ballot in the mail?
Yes.
As they would with the regular election?
Right.
And that will have the information about when the polls are open, where they go, and an interpretive statement on what they're voting, what a yes vote would mean, what a no vote would mean?
We actually have very little to do with the process,
Right.
actually. The judge has mandated that the county set it forth. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
the county's
people will
gonna
get
do
people will get a sample ballot. I don't think we'll have an interpretive statement.
Okay, all right, well,
And
then.
they'll receive that in, like a week ahead of time, at least?
Usually 2 weeks before.
Right. And the election will be here in the, when they come in the building, the districts where you vote will be, will have signage.
As usual.
Yes. Gene?
Gene Murray, Project 710 8th Avenue. I want to thank the mayor and the council for what a great summer. You know, the beaches and the DPW and the police department and the first aid squad. The town was just beautiful. I have a lot of relatives that live out of town up at Sparta, and they come down, they couldn't believe how great Belmar looked compared to 10 years ago when I first moved in. And how great the bathrooms were, and how great the police treated them. One of them had a flat, and the cops there, and they took care of them, and they really appreciated it. And I definitely appreciate you people. And you, honey, what you're going through, I would give you my social security number. I would. I mean, that's how much I trust you.
I already know it.
Yeah. And I'd just like to say one more thing about Sunday on the September the 11th, for 9/11. We're going to have it over in the senior building at 11 o'clock. Everybody's welcome, and there'll be refreshments served after. And again, I'd like to thank the council and the mayor for a great town to live in. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can I say something? What you just said?
Yeah.
Sure.
So, for the last several years, I've attended the service that the seniors that live in the senior building put on 9/11, and it is always very, very moving. It's great, the same as going to the Memorial Day service here in Belmar. So, thank you to all of you that live over there and do that, Jean.
And there's also a run that resident Tim Mahoney has on the boardwalk. And what's interesting about the run is Tim makes everybody run in silence the whole way. Not allowed to talk, not allowed to, and it's very moving. And he's been doing it since, the first anniversary of 9/11. So I think it starts down on 16th Avenue. Yes. It's not a Belmar official event, but it's just an event that you would like to go to. You can run if you like, better not talk. Or just, just experience it.
Yeah, if I could just add to that, he's been doing it for years. It's absolutely wonderful, as is the one at the senior building, 11 o'clock on Sunday. But Tim gets anybody and everybody who would like to run. People do their bikes on the side. You can walk. But what's very, very special is when it begins, he has everybody, there's a piece of paper that gets passed around, and they state the name of a person who had passed during 9/11, local, I think it's just Monmouth County. And it's just wonderful. And then once the names are done, everybody runs down to Spring Lake and turns around and comes back. So if you don't participate, fine. If you want to come down and just be an observer, it's very special.
Great. That's Sunday, right?
I believe it's 5 or 6 o'clock. I want to say 6, but we can find out.
Dave?
David Schneider, 302 C Street. Correct me if I'm wrong, but on the vote to approve the minutes at the beginning, at the outset of this meeting, did all 4 of you vote to approve the minutes for both the August 16th meeting and the August 25th meeting?
You could be a technicality,
All-
was that
all 4 you voted?
Friday meeting, there were only 3 of us here, correct?
Right.
So is that what you're saying?
The August 16th meeting, neither Mr. Brennan nor Ms. Nicolay were present for that meeting. And the August 25th meeting, Ms. Nicolay wasn't present for that meeting.
But I think that, Counselor, if she reads the minutes from those meetings, she's eligible to vote?
No, she can't vote on it. She should abstain, but the effect would be the same because we'd have 2 yeses and an abstention. Abstention would be read with the majority, so, yeah, she can abstain, but it's not a quorum problem. She's not disqualified, but she abstains.
Do you need a quorum, excuse me, to vote on approval of the minutes?
You always need a quorum to take any action.
Well, what about the August 16th meeting?
Okay.
No, neither, Mr. Brennan.
Let me just answer the question. You always need a quorum, but you have a quorum, because abstaining isn't stepping down, abstaining isn't refusing. So, you have a yes, and an abstention, and an abstention. You have 2-0, it would carry because the yeses are going to go with the majority.
So an abstention, because you weren't here for that meeting, counts as being here in terms of a quorum, even though you weren't at the meeting to witness a meeting to know if the minutes are
Yes.
accurate?
Right. You count as a quorum. You just can't, you just abstain.
So they don't need to recuse themselves?
No, there's no conflict. They simply don't know, right? They don't know, so they say, I don't know, I abstain.
Well, this is a break of precedent, you know, but in the past, I've seen that a council member wasn't present for a meeting. They abstained from voting on the minutes of the meeting since they weren't there.
So-
But they didn't abstain
I guess
tonight
that's
though,
the
right?
question, on the meeting on the 16th, I believe Mr. Brennan was not here, and Councilwoman Nicolay was also not here. Should they abstain from voting on the minutes back in?
Yes.
Okay, so we should probably bring them back.
Okay, thank you, Dave.
All right, just excuse me if I could just want the law followed, you know.
Obviously, there was nothing where she was trying to beat the system.
We just want the law followed, you know, this is why there's been these discussions.
Let's go, Brad, we appreciate it. Yeah. All right,
Yeah, but the abstentions can go with the.
Right.
So, there's a quorum.
Oh, it's still gonna have the same result.
Right, well, right, I mean,
Just,
Right.
I would separate the 2
okay.
minutes.
Can I have a reading of the approval minutes? Or which day? Do we probably do one day at a time?
I move that the minutes of the meeting held on August the 16th, 2016 be approved as recorded, and that a copy thereof be posted on the borough's website.
Second?
Do I need to step down?
No, you're gonna have
You
to
can just
stay.
say I abstain.
You can't second.
Councilman Brennan?
Abstain.
Councilman Nicolay?
Abstain.
Councilman Belmar?
Yes.
Councilman Kilmer?
Yes. I move that the minutes of the meeting held on August the 25th, 2016 be approved as recorded, and that a copy thereof be posted on the borough's website.
I second.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman Nicolay?
Abstain.
Councilman Belmar?
Yes.
Councilman Kilmer?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you, David. And anybody else in the audience have something to say? Just come up to the microphone.
Mr. Kirschenbaum, Woodland Avenue, West Belmar.
Okay.
Fourth, I asked under the Open Public Records Act for a copy of the revaluation of the Borough of Belmar, which is now going on. I compared it to Wall Township. I compared it to other towns. It reads almost exactly the same. The front says that you use the three approaches, which is the sales market, the income approach, and the square foot or cost approach, to revalue the proper property of Belmar, which I grew up in, and
Right.
I've been around a long time. I got a letter here from Patricia Wright, Director of Division of Taxation, which says that the courts have indicated that the result of a single approach in itself is not to be considered an absolute detriment of the true value of property, but whenever possible, all three approaches should be used in the final determination of value for tax purposes. My purpose in being here tonight, after looking at your contract and seeing what happened in Wall, you got the three approaches on the front, which is exactly right. But Wall Township and almost 50 other towns have the same contract. And under residential valuation, it says, you guys all voted the money to do this revaluation. It says on Article 21, use of the final cost factor shall be made only after approval by the borough's assessor. And what has happened in other towns is this company has used what they call the cost approach, the square footage approach. If you have a home, its value should be based on location, number of bedrooms, age of the home, number of bathrooms, amenities, depreciation, functional obsolescence, is it by a sewer plant? Just so you get the idea, that's how you appraise homes. They're using the square footage approach. And this is what they told me, and this is what was done. It's a new way of doing it, using a computer. They take the square footage of your home, like I always said. It doesn't matter if I have 6 bedrooms or 1, it's going by the square foot. What they do is put the square footage of your house in the computer, the square footage of your land. Then they put the town. Out pops what would cost. If your home burned down, for the labor and materials, the cost. And that's what they're calling the fair market value, which is wrong. That line under section 21 should be approval of the council, since you're the ones that voted for the revaluation and appropriated the money. There's a lot of things going on in this new demonstration program, a lot of conflicts of interest, a few lawsuits. There's a lot of investigations. I've looked at this company. I fought them 4 times. They revalued my property. I won 4 times. You know why? Because you don't use the square footage of a home to tell the value. You gotta look at the home. Depreciation. My home is 116 years old. But the way they did it, if you put a house the same square footage as mine, put it next door, but it had upgrades and amenities and granite countertops and everything, they put in for a little depreciation, it'd be almost the same value. That's wrong. I just want to let you know what's going on in Monmouth County. Wall Township has spent over $100,000 on the appeals of the people that have come forward because it was done wrong. You should stick to the 3 approaches. Make sure it's done right, because if it's not done right, Belmar has the 2nd lowest ratio to tax on the value of your homes. Wall Township was number 1. You're basically at 67%. So if you're 67% and you're doing a revaluation of all real property, you got to take into consideration the worst recession since the Great Depression. They didn't do that. They're dealing with depreciation. They're dealing with functional obsolescence. In fact, there's 33 non-usable code numbers. They used them. You could only go back to October 1st of the pre-tax year. And that's what people are told. And you look to do for comps. They used one against me from 2013. I asked to have them thrown out the county tax board. They said, what's like about it? But if you were a citizen that came before the county tax board and you had out-of-date comps or non-usable comps, they threw them out. Something is very wrong. You really need to look at this contract. Because I lived in Belmar most of my life. I don't want to see the people of Belmar get screwed like the people of Wall.
Thank you. Ed, can we have Ed Mullane, our tax person, listen to what Mr. Kirschenbaum just talked about? See what we got, see if Ed agrees, and yeah, great. Thank you, Mr. Kirschenbaum.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Brendan?
Brendan Reed, 109th Avenue. I'm glad that you made mention of the 15th anniversary of 9/11. For my wife and I, it's a day that's always been very clear to us. We witnessed the attacks coming to Manhattan. I still visually remember seeing the smoke coming from the North Tower going by us on the M6 bus, seeing the flames coming from the South Tower. Getting off of my job. My stepson, her son was called, seeing first responders. So I think it's also very important to note that the world came to New York, helping New York's time need New York's return the favor. I remember seeing after Sandy, seeing the Port Authority cops coming down here. So it really is a two-way street for all to be together. And finally, on that note, I'm glad to see the American flag flying on the side of the Taylor Pavilion. That's a beautiful sight and good work and a fantastic job. I look forward to seeing the pavilions finished. Thank you.
Thank you, Brendan. Okay, one thing I want to mention, Franny Hines Autism for the Surfing, that's coming up?
This weekend.
This weekend?
Yes.
Okay, that's another fantastic event on 7th Avenue Beach. Is it Saturday and Sunday?
Sunday.
Sunday and Monday.
Sunday and Monday. The Surfing for Autism, where the surfers come down and take the autistic children out on surfboard and help them ride away. It's just fantastic. So it's Franny Hines from our used to be working for our DPW and is head of the first aid squad. He does just a fantastic job. So we have a couple of good things coming up in the fall that is good for Belmar.
Yeah, and I just had checked Sunday, 11 o'clock at the senior building, the 9/11 Memorial, which is wonderful. The Jersey Shore Running Club, the run that's in the High, it's on, is at 6 p.m. On 16th, right across from Dunkin' Donuts. And then of course we've got the surf tournament and the kite festival.
Big day. Big day. Okay, seeing nothing else? Oh, where's the gavel? Can't leave that. Make motion, meeting's over?
All in favor?
Aye.